everybody's doing safe. So we'll start off with 3.0.0 release candidate 1 demo for MFTF. This is our first release candidate for the major release. So starting off with some small improvements or BIC changes that we've done for 3.0.0. So we've dropped support for PHP 7.0 and 7.1. And in our next release candidate, we intend to drop support for 7.2 and we'll add PHP 7.4. So it's to be in line with Magento 2.4 stack. Another change is we've removed the debug none option. So previous releases of Magento, we've had an option to turn off XSD schema validation. So with 3.0.0, we don't have that option anymore. So by default, all MFTF commands would validate XSD schema. And also debug developer could be used to validate XML files separately. It should be the per file XSD validation. We've also removed support for an old deprecated path to tests. So what we've done is we have moved the test modules from that deprecated path to the path that we support. So test modules could be located in app code, vendor, and dev tests. What we've removed is the functional test folder within dev test acceptance that's no longer supported for test modules. So our next feature is single entity per file. I think G, you're the call. Would you like to drive it?
Okay, I'm taking over. So I actually prepared a few slides for the topic I'm going to cover. I think Soumya already briefly covered about the deprecate of the old path versus the supporting of the new path. A little more information regarding this. We're doing this to prepare future Magento service isolation. Also, the new path will only support composer-based. That means the test module must define a composer JSON for MFTF to be able to read. The test module, this path is particularly useful for test modules that depends on more than one Magento module, and only used when merging and extending from individual Magento modules are too complicated or sometimes impossible. The new here is an example. For example, currently we have a test module configurable product catalog search. In this case, configurable product and catalog search are independent. In order to write a test, sometimes it's hard to put into different component into its own module. And here we provide a way you can write, you can define a new test module that depends on more than one Magento module. There's a couple of requirements. This module must be defined as a Magento 2 functional test module. And in the required session, you specify the version of the MFTF, and also, but in the suggest session, you specify all the dependencies required, and they have to follow the format in these slides. You specify the name of the module, and also you need to specify the type, which it must be a Magento 2 module. And also you have to specify the name, which is the registered module with Magento.
Can I add a real small thing to the previous slide? Just to clarify everyone. No, with the composer.
Okay.
Just to clarify, guys, we use suggest block just because we want to be able to install our tests without Magento code. So we're using suggest block, which is you will not fail or make a hard failure when the composer install. It will suggest us to install those two modules, but when we generate our tests, MFTF will read this suggest block. It will check with an instance of Magento that two of these modules is installed in Magento and available, and only then tests under this configurable product catalogs through functional test module will be generated. If one of these modules is disabled in Magento, MFTF will not generate those tests. It will think that those tests cannot be executed against Magento without one of these modules. So we use suggest block to solve this problem.
Yes, that's a good addition. I forgot to mention that. Yeah, we do check only when the dependent module are enabled, this module will be read. Otherwise, it's not going to be, the path will not be read. So I will continue. The other change, we have some schema change, and and because also in order to help the user to group the test entities, we support subfolders. So one entity per XML file for action group, page, section, suites, and tests. There's no change to data and metadata. Support subfolder under MFTF test module as long as the XML file names follow the following pattern. As far as the pattern, there's no change, is follow the existing rules. I put it here just for everyone to have a good idea. There's no subfolder allowed under root level suites folder. This page shows currently we have 5 upgrade scripts. So I'm only going to cover the number 4 and number 5. Number 4 is a small upgrade script. This is discovered when during the upgrade script development. We found like in a small number of tests, we have in the suite XML file, we support module and then a name, and then a file pointing to some tests. And during the upgrade, we're going to disable this type of reference, and we will give the notice when you run the upgrade script. You have to manually change. We remove the support of module file, and you have to manually change these to tests and names. Previously, because each file may contain several test files. Now, one file will only contain one test, so there's no need for you to specify a file name. The next upgrade script is the one we're going to help you to support to split all the existing multiple entity type of XML file into the individual one. Here is a small example. For example, if you have a test XML file which contains 2 test entities, after the split, we will generate a subfolder with the same name as the test, and then using the test entity name as the test file names. But you can, when you do the manual organize your test module, you can use any level of subfolder. There's 3 ways to run the upgrade script. The first way is you can run the upgrade during the build while you are building the project. You specify -- upgrade option. A second way is you just directly run the bin MFTF upgrade test. I do suggest you to use the verbose option. In that, with verbose, you will see when all the logs for splitting the tests, just in case you want to track down some problems. And also, the third way is you can use upgrade script and specify a path. In this case, it will upgrade a particular test module for you. This is going to be useful for vendors and anyone who want to upgrade individual one. In the second case, we will upgrade all installed Magento modules for you. I'm going to do a demo on the upgrade. See, my MFTF is attaching to a standalone Magento mainline code. So if without upgrade, I want to show, actually you can see my upgrade script. I did a small modification. I comment out some of the other upgrade script. So, and if I run without upgrade, when you run a generate, in this release, we changed the schema, and we're going to fail the build, fail the generation if we detect there is more than one entity. So you can see in CE we have this many of violations detect. You won't be able to generate tests. So you can run the upgrade script at this point. So I'm not specifying any path. So this means I'm going to upgrade all the installed Magento modules. So there looks like there in CE there's 300 tests has been upgraded. To show you my CE. You can see now these are all split files. So for example, in admin analysis, there is some deprecated action group has been split. And in backend, the action group has been split, and so on. Sections, tests. Go back to the. So I want to also show an example of upgrade an individual test module. As you know, we have in verification test, we have some test modules that's you can use to upgrade. I think I have run one time. So because we already upgrade before, so if I run this, it will just have nothing to upgrade, but you can use. This is an example. So after the upgrade, you can run tests as usual. Oh, sorry. This is because I disabled assertion one. Then it's failed into the other. I guess you got the point. At least we don't see any single entity violation. So that's expected. So I will hand over to Kevin to demo the assertion upgrade script so you can remove these failures.
Anyone have a question about this topic she covered?
Fantastic segue, G, though. Yeah, so the thing that I'm going to be demoing here is and you guys can see my screen, right? This is acceptance, right? So the thing that I'm going to be demoing here is the change of assertion syntax. So this is a deprecation warning that we've had for a really, really long time that we're finally being able to get rid of. The Magento code base, test code base, may have some of these leftovers. There's not a lot of them, but at some point we switched the syntax from being something like this, where it's a single line, to being more of a nested syntax that's a little bit more legible and it looks a little bit nicer that I can show you here in a second. The way that you upgrade these tests is the exact same way. If you just do MFTF upgrade tests, I'm not going to update the whole Magento code base just for ease. Let me switch it over to LNB PHP Storm. There we go. Just for this being quick, I'm just going to be doing MFTF upgrade tests, and we'll see that assertion syntax updated in one files. Right here, you're going to see the dev.test change as soon as I click this, and voila! You guys can see the difference. Instead of being that single line, it's actually nested with an actual result. The typing and all of that is either inherited or guessed. What does that mean? That means that the one-line syntax to the multi-line syntax isn't exactly a one-for-one. The script has to do some amount of guessing, and it does a pretty good job at most of these. But definitely what you want to do is go through your code base afterwards just as a double check. I'm just going to do it in dev tests functional right here, which is, we'll call that my code base. And if you just search for assert and then this, open a new find window or use whatever text editor you use, just go through real quick your guys' own tests. We'll do this in the Magento code base itself, so we shouldn't have any problems there. But it's probably worth going through and just double checking that all of the assert usages are no longer that single line syntax. If they aren't, it'll be incredibly easy for you guys to tell. It'll be incredibly easy for you guys to tell, such that the syntax is going to be read. Like if I just do assert not empty, let's just start typing in the old syntax. Actual is equal to right. Stuff like that. It'll be very, very easy. Find in path, assert, find a new window. Yep, big old red here. In case that it didn't successfully upgrade something, you'll need to do it manually, but it's pretty obvious on what to plug in after by using autocomplete. It'll open it up everything that you need automatically, like expected results, right? So on. But yeah, a pretty straightforward change, mostly for test legibility and just making good on a deprecation notice that we had a long time ago. So, I know I kind of glossed over it, but there's no rocket science here happening. There's no change in functionality. It's just a change in syntax. So with that out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Tom Reece, where he's going to be talking about metadata file names changing and some other upgrade scripts. And if anybody, does anybody have any questions over the syntax update? Cool. Tom, go ahead and take the wheel.
Cool. All right, so mine will be super quick. Hope you can hear me. Hope you can.
Yes,
You, sir?
All right, so I don't have like a live demo. I just have a cook show ready prepared thing. I think metadata was first. So as Kevin mentioned, we renamed metadata files to be more in line with the rest of our files. This was the only file type where we actually used a hyphen meta, and we just made that into Meta.xml. So here are two examples. This became this, and this became this. We split on underscores and hyphens and capitalized the next character after that to aim for Pascal case. So it's not going to be perfect, but that's what we aimed for. That's really all for that. I think I'm next as well. Is that right? Talking about name notifications.
So you got naming convention variants.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, this one was super simple. We renamed all these files in Magento, and the upgrade script will do it for you as well. So along that line of naming, we have name warnings. So now when you generate tests, you get these deprecations that you're used to seeing, but you also get these new notices. 165 section name violations, section element, data entity name, data entity key, etc. And then it says see mftf.log for more details. So if you actually jump into that file, you can search for notice, or you can search for things like should follow or something like that. This is just a snippet from a file that will now have a ton of lines in it, but you see in here we're a bit more verbose, and we say things like follow this pattern, see this file for more details. These patterns come from, hope you can still see this screen. This is the Magento technical guidelines, and if you go to functional testing, we've outlined some naming conventions and patterns here that we'd like for you to follow. So this script is now detecting these every time you generate tests, and I think it also does it when you run tests, just consequently. That wasn't exactly intentional. That's just how the implementation works. So you'll see these warnings, and they're just notices. They don't fail generation or anything like that. That's all for me. I do not know who's next.
I think I'm next.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
So that's my turn to show you what I have. Sorry guys for the voice. I've already been notified that I sound like Abad. I switched 3 pairs of headphones and I cannot figure out what is going on here. So sorry for the sound. If you can understand me, that's good. So let me start. What do I have? Presentation we have for today. Everyone ignored the presentation I prepared for everyone. So no worries. Okay, so this is my slide I will show you guys. So what I will tell you today that I don't want to see any PHP code in XML. Previously, we had two actions in MFTF called executeSelenium or performOn actions, and we removed those actions. Those actions gave you the possibility to write a callback function, which you can put into XML. It will generate this function back to PHP, and it will be executed. We had several usages of these actions. We don't like them because we had a couple of bugs with these actions. First of all, we had a bug with how do we put codes for strings, for arguments, so it's not very easy to transpile this from XML to PHP, and some of all those functions are not really readable and understandable for everyone, so we decided to remove those two actions from MFTF and not allow any PHP code to be written in XML. But we also introduced custom helpers to replace them. Basically, what is custom helpers and what they're gonna do? Those gonna be a native conception functionality. Conception gives an ability to write your custom helpers, which can do whatever you want in your task. You can write a PHP class, write a method with any logic you want. You could use any dependencies you want. You can use Magento Router. We have. I'll show you later how to do this and how it will work. The good thing is that you can call those classes, those custom helpers from test.xml. It will look like this. So that's going to be your syntax to call this helper. You will specify a full class name, full qualified class name, and also a public method which is going to do something for you. Step key as usual. That's how you can pass in arguments to your method. So on my demo, I will, not this one, I will show you how it will be generated, how it will be executed, and so on, so on. Let's go ahead to the Magento functional testing framework. So here is my default MFTF test, and using our suggestion,
I think we can't hear you anymore.
can you hear me?
Yeah, right now, yes, okay.
Perfect. So that's how you specify that you want to use a custom helper in your test. You can send arguments. Argument name will be, let me show you actually how the PHP class will work, how it will look like. So under your module, you can create your folder called helper. It's not strictly hard-coded somewhere that you have to create helper folder. As with those classes, I do suggest you create this folder under your module and put your custom helpers over there. Then you create your usual helper, and to make it work properly, you need to extend MFTF, Magento Functional Testing Framework helper class. So this is our proxy class for conception module class. So right now it is empty, but maybe we will replace conception for something else, or maybe we'll add some additional functionality here. So we created this class exception module out of usage in our Magento code. And here we have our public function, which do very important thing, printing out whatever you put there. So as you can see, we will support with MFTF 3.0, we will support only PHP versions starting from 7.3. So we can tell that we can use those script titles, and I do recommend to use them because if you are not specifying a type of your argument, but you want to use, I don't know, integer or Boolean type, it will still generate you a task with a string. So let me show you what will happen, how it will be generated. So first of all, let's put this class method, if I'm not mistaken, called go2, and this time called something. So let's see, I've got float, integer, boolean, testing URL, all of those must be passed as an arguments. Oops. That's not what I wanted. That's yeah. Here you need to specify a name without a $sign. So please do not forget to remove them. Basically, that's it. That's how you call the custom helper. Here you can put whatever you want. We have here URL specified, so let me copy paste this into URL. Test, as you remember, do not have any specific type. So everything I will pass here. Boolean value false, integer 1 to 3, and float. Go and generate this test. Test looks test first flag. Yep, and you can see that we have a beautiful notification from Reece that we've got violations in our test. It will notify you every time you have something on with your naming convention. We will not fail the build because it will make everyone hit us, but we will notify you that, hey guys, please fix them. Yes, that's the task we have generated. So as you can see, we've got our helper container over here. We put there our customer helper object. At this point of time, an inject method dependency injection will instantiate this helper, and you will have an object here already created. So we will store it in our helper container. And then later, when we execute our test, we're gonna get this object and we're gonna call our go-to method. And as you can see, there's all the arguments we passed into this function. So here, as you can see, I sent this argument, that's the second argument here called test. specified as true, but because it do not have any type in here, it was generated with a string. But if I will regenerate our test, it will be generated as a Boolean value. So make sure that you always use correct typing for your custom helper. What else do I need to show? What else? Let's actually run this test and see what it's gonna output. There we go. That's our scenarios hearts. There you go. There you see what we have here. We printed out every single argument we passed into the custom helpers. You can see that we don't have Boolean value because it's specified to be false. False is not printed out, obviously the same as null value here, but everything else is printed. Okay. To understand what you can do with this, I do recommend you guys to go to, where's my browser? To conception helpers. Yeah, to this page, module helpers. You can go to this section helper and you can read how it works and what it can do for you. So it is very useful documentation for you guys. You can read and understand what you can do with those helpers. But to show you how to get access to our Magento WebDriver from the helper class, let's go back to our helper and let's do this. Let's say I need a web driver to do something on a page. So what I will do, I will use get module function, and I will want to get an instance of Magento WebDriver. To get an instance, you need to specify this module name because that's our Magento driver we use to execute most of actions we need. If you want to execute some assertions, you can get Magento assert module or any other you see useful for your case. I will use as of right now Magento WebDriver. Boom. I will specify that our WebDriver is Magento WebDriver. Next step, what I will do, I will try to go to this one URL, and I will put here URL. We get it from our arguments. So here in the debug test, I will specify http google.com, and I will put here a sleep for 10 seconds just to be able to see that I'm on the google.com page. So let me connect to my Docker container where I have my Selenium. There we are. main windows. And let's run this test. Also, since those custom helpers gonna live under on Magenta developer branches, those custom helpers will live under app code folder. You can instantiate here any Magento objects you need to perform some magic in test. I've heard that guys right now working on producing coverage for two-factor authorization module, and I think they have some class which can generate for them 2FA code which they can use in the test. So what they can do, they can simply create an object of the class they need. Make use of it. Folder to be able to release MFTF tests separately from Magento modules in future. But if we're gonna have all tasks dependent on some Magento objects and some Magento packages, we will not be able to split them and have two separate instances. One instance which contains only test and the other which contains only Magento instance. If you have a task which dependent on custom helper and this custom helper have dependency to Magento code, this test must remain under the test folder in Magento module. If every other test which do not have this dependency can go to dev test and can be released separately from Magento. So that's the only outfit we have here. We probably will have we will be coupling our tests with Magento code, unfortunately. But I hope we will use this wisely and we will not create a lot of dependencies. And this is pretty much it. Where the window? Any questions regarding those custom helpers and how they work? The documentation will be added in RC2. We were working in a limited time to make this RC1, so documentation is not ready for this specific story I just demoed, but we have a ticket, we're working on this, and it's gonna be available soon.
So let me ask one question according to the location of the helpers. Like, sure. It has to be configured in a test directory for specific project. It cannot be like install extra extension for Magento, and it provides and registers the helper that can be used in scope of all the tests inside that module. It has to be manually configured in dev tests acceptance folder.
No, you can put your custom helper anywhere you want, but under the visibility for Composer autoloader. If your autoloader can open this class and make an instance of this class, then it can be used in tests. That's my suggestion.
Registration of this. Okay, that's fine. Now I get it. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do recommend to put it into module which it belongs to, and do not use those custom helpers in other modules. Let's say we have module A, B, and C. You can put your custom helper in module A. You can use it in module A as long as this custom helper behaves, and not behaves, but drives functionality which were introduced by module A. You can use this in module B, this class, as long as module B have a hard dependency on module A. On module C, which is not dependent on either of A or B, it's independent module, you cannot use this, because if module C is not dependent on both of them, you can disable or remove module A and B from Magenta. Module C will still continue working on Magenta, but test will not work because this class will not be existent. So yeah, so that's the basic dependency. Treat it very wisely and carefully when you make use of these classes. Because otherwise, if we will disable some modules in Magenta or remove them, we will have to do a lot of refactoring, putting those custom helpers into proper places. Any other questions? Any other questions, guys, regarding the whole release? No? Then I think Lukasz have something to show us as well.
Yes, that's true. Let me share the screen. Actually, I need to share the whole screen. So 1 second. I cannot show you just the one window.
We warmed out the audience for you, Lukasz. So stage is yours. Go ahead.
Okay, so you should be able to see my screen, and on my screen you can see that I have opened a misc.xml, which is the file of PHP Storm configuration, and currently when you run bin Magento, and I never remember the order, but okay, never mind. I'm going to show you the MFTF, just MFTF, because actually previously it was building the URN XSD schema, like the schema suggestions for your PHP Storm with absolute path. Currently, when you run a vendor bin MFTF and URN, generate URN catalog, the pattern of that command is consistent with Magento core, so it asks you to provide the path, not the file name. So if I put idea as a path, it will okay, something's wrong with my setup. Okay, come on, it worked like 3 minutes ago. Okay, so there's something wrong. Maybe there's something wrong.
I yesterday tested and it worked. So
I also tested that 15 minutes ago. Actually, maybe okay, but anyway, it uses the same pattern that PHP Storm and Magento core uses. Let me show you that in different projects. 1 second. Which is actually idea and misc Meta.xml. Yep, it uses the path which starts from project dir, not the absolute path. So if MFTF detects that you have installed your project in vendor directory, it detects the vendor directory, and it actually refers to the project dir vendor Magento 2 functional testing framework. So you don't need to modify it manually anymore, and you can use it easier, and it's consistent with being Magento. Previously it was different, so I worked on it, and currently I think that by the end of the weekend I'm going also to provide VS Code support. And that's all from me.
Good, and I also have, and I also want to add that when Tom Reece presented you notices about violation on our naming conventions, you saw there are some numbers, like we've got 300 violations for element names, some 160 violations for other entities. But before Lukasz delivered a couple of very big pull requests to Magento with fixes for action groups, for other entities, for test entities, we had those numbers much bigger. We had thousands of violations in our test. So I want to thank you, Lukasz, for doing this job for us and helping us to standardize all entities we have. So we're trying to keep all our projects, Magento projects, under the same technical guidelines. So they all should follow our technical guidelines, and naming convention is a part of it. Why we do this? Just because we want to simplify community engagement into writing those tests. Because previously on conferences and everywhere, I've heard that it is very annoying when you do Composer install Magento some edition, it comes with bundled extensions pre-installed. And all of these projects like MSI, Magento, they have different style how to write those tests. And it was very difficult for everyone to understand what is going on and what approach they should use in writing their own tests, because all of those naming were confusing. All of those test entities under the same file was confusing everyone. Everyone asked me a question: should I put 10 tests under the same file, or should I name it this way? Right now, that's not going to be a problem. You will see only one approach how we create our tests. Of course, we've got a lot of other issues we will solve, but we wanted to deliver those changes as soon as possible because they are backward incompatible, and we wanted to make it before 2.4 developed release. Yeah, the next steps will be in our 3.0 release is we're gonna deliver RC1 into 2.4 develop branch. We're gonna get feedback how it works. Do we have any bugs and issues? If we have, of course, we will fix them, and we will deliver them with RC2. Also, as Sonia mentioned, we're gonna drop support of PHP 7.2, and we will add 7.4. But that's gonna be done at the same point of time when Magento. We need to work simultaneously with Magento devs to deliver this at the same point of time to Magento. So that's why it is not included into RC1. Yeah, and also we're gonna work on some static checks for MFTF tests. We're gonna fix some issues with those, but I will not spoil what we will do. You will see this on next RC demo. If you have any questions, we we've got 1 minute.
Okay, so one comment, one very, very important comment. When you write tests, try to reproduce exactly the environment that you are running on production. So, for example, on production with big site, you are not running cache flash on production and index reindex the whole reindex. You depend on cron jobs on production. So in your tests, when you create data, when you modify data from admin panel, use Magento cron to like imitate the production environment.
And we lost Lucas. Can someone hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
We can hear you.
Okay, so we lost Lucas. Okay, guys, I think we will wrap this up. Yeah, we lost Lucas, you for a second.
He's back.
Yeah, you're back. Any questions, guys? I think we talked a lot and didn't allow you to ask questions. If no, then thank you very much for joining MFTF 3.0 release. If you have any question, you are welcome. If you are community members, go to community Slack channel MFTF. If you are internal developers, also go to community Slack channel. It will be really good if we're gonna share what we do internally with community. So also go there. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thanks. Bye.